Good morning. Welcome everyone. We appreciate you being here this morning with us today for this huge announcement. I'm Michael Atkinson from Stan Sport, and today, in conjunction with Denny Green and Green Machine Promotions, we'll be announcing just some of the talented men and women behind Stan's next major pay-per-view event, Uncaged. Headlined by major drawcard global UFC superstar Tyson Pedro, who's made the jump back to boxing following a successful MMA career, and the fearsome Aussie heavyweight champ Chris Terziewski. The event will take place on Wednesday, June 12, next door in Sydney's Hordern Pavilion. And of course, the only place to watch it live is on Stan Pay-Per-View. We have a who's who of boxing here in the room. We even had the New South Wales Police Service turn up a little bit earlier, so obviously word of this fight has spread far and wide. Now it's time to meet some of our fighters. First up, Tawana Campbell. Otherwise known as Miss Business, Tawana is 24 years of age with a record of 4-2-2 from Wollongong, New South Wales, and trained by Anthony Redwood. Please, a warm welcome for Tawana. Introducing our next fighter, the current WBC silver belt lightweight champion and current Australian lightweight champion with a record of 6 wins, 0 losses from Cronulla, New South Wales, and trained by the legendary Johnny Lewis. Please welcome Ella Boot. Our next fighter is an emerging Australian rising star with a record of 4 wins and no losses. Currently ranked number 2 in the WBC strawweight division. Please welcome Alex A-Rock Winwood. No introduction is required for this man, but one is most certainly deserved. He's the godfather of boxing, a trainer of 2 Hall of Famers in Jeff Fennick and Kostya Tszyu, and now training Ella Boot. Please welcome the legendary Johnny Lewis. The trainer of our feature bout fighter, Chris Terziewski. Please welcome from Melbourne, Australia, Rob Seymour. Next up, man who is the pioneer of cage fighting in Australia and the trainer of the feature fighter, Tyson Pedro. Please welcome John Pedro. Next up, our 2 warriors for our main bout. WBC number 5, Bridgerweight and current Australian heavyweight champion with a boxing record of 12 wins, 1 loss and 2 draws. 9 wins coming by way of knockout, and coming all the way from Melbourne, Victoria, please welcome Chris Terziewski. Last but most certainly not least, the man of the moment, the former New South Wales amateur boxing champion and UFC sensation, now on a path to boxing glory. Please welcome Tyson Pedro. Next up, introducing our promoter from Green Machine Promotions. This man has promoted and co-promoted the top 3 highest grossing pay-per-view bouts in Australian boxing history. A 3-weight division world champion, a Commonwealth Games representative and an Olympian. Please welcome Danny the Green Machine Green.
Excuse me. Welcome everyone. Thanks very much for having me. Appreciate the introduction. Atco, I don't have a spiel or a speech, and it's goodness knows how my memory can retain anything after 30 years in the fight game. But I just want to thank everyone for coming down here. It means a hell of a lot to myself personally. Green Machine Boxing, Green Machine Promotions. Been in the game for a very long time, and I guess my vision for what I want to do is I want to allow fighters to the left and to the right of me to have the chance to do what I dreamed of doing my whole childhood, to go up and be a fighter on TV and have that recognition, have people see me on TV, because these guys train so hard, they sacrifice so much, they go through so much mentally, physically and emotionally, pain-wise, it's incredible. And to have the opportunity to be able to fight on TV and under the big bright lights and on the big stage in stadiums, that's what I dreamed of. And for me to be able to provide that opportunity for these young people, it makes me very proud. And I'd also like to thank Stan Sport for partnering with Green Machine Promotions moving forward in the future, to be able to give these guys, to be able to showcase and give them a platform of what they do and how hard they train, and to entertain the people at home and around and across Australia, at home and across stadiums around the country. So first off, I'd just like to start with our one of the undercard fights that we've confirmed. We'll have six or seven bouts on the night. The first fight is Ella Boot versus Taiwana Campbell. Ella Boot, trained by, I'd like to also thank Johnny Lewis for coming along. Appreciate it, Johnny, the godfather of boxing, and he's a trainer of two Hall of Famers in Jeff Fennick and Costa Zoo. Now he's seen something very special in young Ella Boot, who's 6-0, the current lightweight silver champion and a current lightweight Australian champion. An incredible young girl, very gifted, tough, hard as nails, in against young Taiwana Campbell from Wollongong. And believe it or not, these two girls are sparring partners, and they have, by all accounts, the male I've got is very strong. They have absolute wars with each other. So I'm looking forward to seeing this fight, and it's a very exciting contest, and I think Australia's going to, I think once this fight's over, you're going to know who these two girls are well and truly. And to Johnny Lewis, mate, thank you for coming along. Thanks for being a part of the show. You're a legend, mate. Everyone knows who you are. You're part of the furniture in Australian boxing, so thank you very much. Also, quickly, before I continue, just a quick shout-out to the boys at G'd Up, Sammy, TK, and all the lads from G'd Up. Sponsorship in boxing is very, very important, because it enables myself as a promoter to then underwrite what we're doing, to be able to go forward and to attract these superstars and these young up-and-coming fighters, and to be able to help them and pay them the money they deserve to be able to showcase what they are. So I really appreciate the support to guys, to Sammy and TK at G'd Up. It means a hell of a lot. You've got a magic brand. It's incredible. You've taken over Australia in urban streetwear, and it's kind of like I'm not sure whether this is I hope this is a compliment, but, you know, you guys are like the urban streetwear kind of Gucci, Prada, you know, up level, up market, you know, cool as. So I really appreciate the support, guys, and it's just such a great fit for boxing and for what we're doing. Next on the show, thank you, guys. I want to thank, quick shout out to Marcelo Bortoni, who's been a magic addition to the team at Green Machine. Thanks very much for your hard work. The guys here, this is an amazing place. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the girls' names, but I know they're up there looking down at me. The girls from Liberty Hall really appreciate the hospitality, and thanks very much for having us. Another quick shout out before I get on to the main event, and Alex Winwood. Social media has become such a massive part of what we do and every day. And so to Nick Noonan from Australian Fight Central, who's got one of the biggest boxing websites in the country and around the world, your support's integral, mate. And to get what we're doing out there and to showcase these fighters and to showcase these types of press conferences and allow people to enjoy the exposure and what we're doing. So I really appreciate it, Nick Noonan. Also, Jay McAllister for coming down. Thanks very much, champion, and we look forward to building a relationship in the future. On to young Alex Winwood, Olympian, Commonwealth Games representative, a very proud Noongar man from Western Australia. He's an absolute superstar. He's an absolute role model to the young people in our community. I personally have known him for quite a long time, and I've become very endeared to this young man, as you will once you hear him talk and once you see him fight. He's a fantastic person, but the way this kid fights, he's the real deal. He's like a Roberto Duran cross Sugar Ray Leonard, just a bit of a smaller version, and a little bit of Mike Tyson added in, and a little bit of Will Ferrell at times. But he's a fantastic young man, and the fight he's having is he's number 2 in the WBC strawweight division. Make no mistake, strawweight, the guys are small, but the bang for buck is incredible. He's fighting Joey Kanoi, who has had a win over the current world champion in the WBC strawweight division, who just defeated the Mexican world champion in his last fight a couple of weeks ago. So the fight with Alex Winwood versus Joey Kanoi is for the #1 position in the world title eliminator. So that's an incredible bout, and we look forward to seeing fireworks. And now on to the main event. To the man to the left of me, Chris Terziewski. He's the current Australian heavyweight champion and Australasian heavyweight champion. He did that in the same fight He was the guy who was probably best known for defeating the hard as nails Paul Gallen, and make no mistake, and appreciate you coming down, Gal. Paul Gallen was a professional fighter. He was one of the greatest rugby league players the country's had, but he was also a professional fighter. People say he's a rugby league player turned boxer. He's a professional fighter, and he proved himself as a professional fighter in the way that he conducted himself in the ring. I don't think there's been many guys that have been tougher and harder than Paul Gallen on the field or in the boxing ring. And for Chris Terziewski to defeat Paul Gallen, obviously you had the boxing pedigree, mate, but he's a very, very hard man, and the way you did that was an incredible performance. Hats off to you, hats off to Gel for putting on a magic show, and you showed your class in that fight. So it's a very difficult opponent. And when I started talking to Tyson Pedro and his father John about what fight they wanted to have, let's get this on the road, they chose Chris Terziewski, because Terziewski has the WBC number 5 ranking. He's the Australian heavyweight champion. And I said, are you sure you want to take this fight? You know, this is a very difficult fight. This is your first professional boxing fight. Tyson Pedro's had 5 amateur fights, 5-0 as an amateur. He was a New South Wales intermediate champion until he followed his dreams of going into the UFC and MMA. Had a 10-5 career in the UFC and built a bit of a cult following within that, and handled himself in an incredibly, stylish fashion. Was a guy who was known as an all-action person, and I anticipate he's going to bring that to the boxing ring. But when he's talking about this fight, I said, man, this is a very difficult fight. Chris Terziewski is the real deal. He's no joke. He's the Australian champion. He's number 5 in the Bridgeweight division. He's had a lot of experience. Compared to you, he's had a massive amount of experience. And he said to me, just get the fight on, man. I'll take care of business. And so for me, this bloke's shown an immense amount of courage. His father, John Pedro, is the pioneer of cage fighting in Australia. He's grown up, been thrown around, headlocked, kicked, scratched, probably bitten, thrown over the fence, thrown on the barbecue at times. And Tyson's grown up as hard as nails, and they have a great dynamic, a great relationship between the two. But this fight is a real deal, guys. For me to put that on, to promote this in his first professional boxing bout, taking on a man in Chris Terziewski, it's a monumental challenge, and I think it's testament to the fact that Tyson Pedro does not want to come and disrespect the sport of boxing by doing anything other than fighting the toughest challenges that he can face, and this proves it. This is the real deal. I don't think you get a harder, tougher, more challenging fight for Tyson Pedro. So hats off and much respect to Tyson Pedro for making this fight happen, for challenging Chris Terziewski, and hats off to Terziewski for accepting it, because he's a bit of an unknown commodity at the moment. Tyson Pedro, people are like, oh, what's going on? Terziewski's going to school Tyson Pedro because he's got the pedigree. But people don't know Tyson Pedro like the way we do. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to give too much away to Chris Terziewski. He's a gentleman, and he's an absolute legend, and a fantastic bloke, as is Tyson Pedro. But I think when the bell goes, Australia's going to get a real action-packed fight. They're going to see that this man isn't coming here to mess around. He's not coming here to take a free ride and get an easy road in boxing. He's coming here to shake things up, and I think you're going to be seeing that on June the 12th. So for everyone here, I really appreciate the support. To Dave Costantini, the event producer here, thanks for putting on this show, and to Frankie from your hire company. I can't remember the name of it, but Frankie, you're an absolute gem, mate. Thank you very much, and thanks to the boys for setting this up. It looks mad. And again, to the guys at Stand, thank you very much for partnering with us. We really appreciate it. Angela Hyder for putting the show on, for getting the fights done as usual. My wingman and the matchmaker in this show has done an incredible job putting some incredible fights on. There's 2 more fights to be matched, and once we announce them, it's going to be very, very exciting. So yeah, again, guys, I really appreciate it. Thanks very much. I'm going to open the questions up now to Atco. And again, I really appreciate your attendance and look forward to June the 12th. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Fight game wouldn't be the same without you, mate. What you're doing outside the ring as well as what you did in the ring. And a big thanks to Select Events as well, Frankie and the team helping us put together this show today. Let's hear from some of our stars up here on stage. We're going to go straight to the top. Our warriors from the main bout. I'm going to go to Tyson Pedro first. Tyson, taking on a pretty audacious challenge here, as Danny's just outlined there, with the history of your 2 respective careers. What is it about this challenge that you're taking on that you wanted to approach it and challenge yourself with this in making your professional debut?
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be worth me trying to pull the wool over the Australian boxing community and the boxing fans' eyes. So if I came out here and had an opponent that was maybe a walkover or anything, there wouldn't be any point in doing it. So I wanted to have a hard opponent. I wasn't planning on taking any easy fights, but we expected that the whole way through the card, everyone to have good, hard fights and, put on a show for the boxing community.
Chris, we just heard Tyson talk about he didn't want to pull the wool over the boxing community's eyes, but you are an Australian champion. You have fought some of the hardest people in the ring. You're number 5 in your division. Do you feel somewhat disrespected that Tyson sees he can step into the ring with you as his first professional fight?
First, I just want to say massive thank you to Stan Sport, obviously Green Promotions for getting me on this platform. Thanks to Tyson for picking me, because like Danny said, he chose me out of a bunch I'm sure he could have chose from. I don't know if it's so much disrespect. I think any fight's a challenge, you know, especially at this magnitude, but I'm just looking forward to represent boxing, you know, show the art of boxing and show the skills that I know I can perform on the night.
Tyson's obviously had a long and illustrious UFC career after a short amateur boxing career, but do you think in the way he's coming into pro boxing, is he biting off more than he can chew?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think it's funny, you know, in Aussie sport, you look at combat sports, UFC, I was always back in the Aussie. You know, Tyson, Volkanovski, obviously Robert Whittaker, all these guys, Bam Bam, all these guys where you'd never think they're going to cross over into our sport. You always G'ing them up, bigging them up. I'm thinking, oh, this, you know, you want to back them. But coming into my sport now, like, I've got goals and aspirations of my own. Like, I look at the likes of George Kambosos, you know, Jai Opetaia. He's someone I'm inspired by, seeing what he's doing on the world stage. And I'm this close to getting there now. I'm ranked number 5 in the world. This title that we're going to compete for is going to bring me to that level. And that's what I'm aspiring to be. You know, I want to be mentioned along those names, your Tim Zoos and those sorts.
It makes it a lot harder path when you have a loss to a 0-0 boxer.
That's the kind of lead up we want into this fight. Just hearing that, Tyson, what do you make of someone saying they think you have bitten off more than you can chew?
I'm glad he thinks that. You know, it's the way that he feels about that. It's going to be very hard for him to come back from having a loss to me. So I'm excited that he thinks that I've been off more because I'm the underdog. So there's no pressure on me. It's a lose-lose for him. If he loses to an MMA fighter, it doesn't look good on the record.
Is there somewhat risk here, Chris, given he doesn't have a fight in his professional boxing career? For you, is there risk?
Yeah, I suppose there's an element of risk, but, you know, with great risk, there's great reward. Like I said, this is going to put me super high in the Bridgeweight rankings. You know, it's an opportunity for me to elevate my career against, you know, obviously Tyson's coming into boxing, but we're very similar in a sense of, I think we've both had 15 fights in combat sports. You know, we're both sort of similar age, height. We're both fast and explosive. I think it's a good matchup in terms of, you know, what we're going to deliver on the night. I just think it's very hard. Like, there's having a fight and then there's having a boxing match, and there's a lot of nuances in boxing. You know, there's not a chance I'd step in and take Tyson on in an MMA fight in 9 weeks. You know, I wouldn't have the time to prepare, and I think that's the difference. You know, you can go in there and throw punches, but there's a lot more to it.
John, I want to throw it over to you. You've trained your son in combat sports virtually since he could walk. But as a father, how do you feel about your son taking on such a formidable opponent in his professional career to start it off?
G'day, mate. I'm just G'd up about this whole stand thing. See how I put all the sponsors in there? It's exciting. It's exciting because, you know, you wake up in the morning and people want to climb Mount Everest. This is his Mount Everest. He looked over to me and goes, "Dad, I want to go to boxing." I said, oh, that's a hard one. But I've said the same answer I've always said. Let's go. Let's do it. That's his Mount Everest. He's going to get up every morning and he's going to punch the bag. He's going to do the road runs. He's going to do everything he has to do. That's a beast over there on the other side. And but Tyson's always loved that. You look at, he had 2 fights in the UFC and then they threw him off to fight all the top 10 guys. So he loves challenges. He loves fighting. He lives for this stuff. So, yeah, as a father, well, first coach, you're like, get in there and fuck him up. But as a dad, you're like, hey, son, can you play badminton or maybe chess to give my heart a little break? But other than that, I'm with him. We're going to be up every morning. We're going to be doing 3-4 training sessions. He's going to be given 150% So when we get in there, I think we'll make the people proud. It's what the Aussies always done. Have a go, mate. Have a go.
Apologies for the swearing. Dad hasn't been media trained.
Sorry,
Sorry
I don't
if it's
even
live.
know how I ended up here. They just told me come up here, and so I went, fuck it, this is it.
We're glad you're up here, mate. You could be a promoter as well as a trainer, Johnny. Thank you. Chris, just heard John describe you as a beast. Now, as we know, it's been said already, you dominated hard as nails man in the front row, Paul Gallen, for the Australian heavyweight title. Very few athletes in rugby league and boxing can say they dominated that very tough warrior, that competitor down there. You can say you did that. So do you think this fight's going to be easier than taking on Gal?
I think it's definitely going to pose different challenges. The fight with Gal was definitely the hardest fight I've ever had. You know, the testament to his heart, his fortitude, his toughness, his ability to keep going. Like, it helped me grow. It was the best learning fight for me and a development fight as a fighter, to be in deep waters, to go 10 rounds, to feel that experience. It's only going to serve me so good in this fight. So, you know, I appreciate Gal. He gave me a mad opportunity at the time, just like I appreciate Tyson. Like, it's going to be cool, you know. I was lucky enough to get a good win over against the NRL superstar, and now hopefully I can get a good win over a UFC superstar. So my resume won't be looking too bad after that, I feel. Like, again, like being on this stage, like Danny said, it's for fighters. We're coming up, we're on small shows. Like, you know, there's only a select few that get a really, really good push. So I'm just so blessed, man. Like, that was I'm pretty sure me and Gal, we almost sold, it was the third most highest pay-per-views for that year. The only ones that beat us was Haney and Kambosos. So that was more of a credit to Gal pushing the show. But, you know, to get those type of eyeballs, and then again, like, we've got Stan Sport, pay-per-view. Like, again, I'm just so, so grateful for this opportunity. And that's why I'll be training hard and killing myself for 9 weeks, you know, taking myself to some dark places, because ultimately, you know, this is the biggest stage and this is where I want to shine.
Rob, to you, along with legendary trainer Ray Giles, he trained legendary fighters such as Jeff Fennick, Lionel Rose, but you both have great confidence that Chris is going to go into this fight and win, but are you worried about the power that Tyson possesses?
We're aware of the problems that he can pose to us, but we'll do our job on our end and train hard, because we'll come back on June 12th and do a job.
Is there a different way you approach this fight, given Tyson's come from UFC and this is his first professional fight? Do you do anything different in training with Chris leading into it?
There'll be adjustments made in our camp, but yeah, I think we'll be all right on our end.
Keeping your cards close to your chest, I like it. We have some big names in the fight game here in the room, but we also have one of the biggest dialing in to join us from the other side of the world.
Hello, my name is Mauricio Sulaiman, president of the WBC. I'm the son of Jose Sulaiman, and I'm just so excited about this great event that is being put together for Australia, one of my favorite countries in the world. I'm looking forward to being there in June with the Green Machine, Danny Green, my great hero, who is now a promoter with his kids, being as successful outside of the ring. And it's just a great pride for me to see this event happening.
Wonderful to have the WBC president here with us. Mauricio, Tyson Pedro's showing true courage and a real fighting spirit, taking on the experienced Chris Terziewski. What are your thoughts on Tyson and the monumental challenge he has chosen to face?
Tyson Pedro, what a story. I'm so excited. I'm very proud of him. I've spoken to him and realized how important it is for him to take this gigantic step. It is not normal to see someone so courageous to go into boxing after a great and successful career, now coming to a challenge to the number 5 contender in the Bridgerweight division. This is going to be sensational. Chris Terziewski is a very solid fighter, and it's a great challenge. Without a doubt, if Tyson Pedro succeeds, he enters the world stage and possibility to fighting for a WBC World Championship.
There you have it. There's a big carrot at the end there. Tyson is an excitement machine. He has X factor. If he beats Terziewski, what kind of statement will that be?
We do believe in fair play. We do believe in absolute safety and justice. So this is going to be a very important event which will be showcased in Australia. And Tyson Pedro is out of the ordinary. He's extraordinary. He has all the elements. He's brave, and his style, he's courageous, and his tremendous ability to dominate. So we will see. We'll see what happens.
Another fighter on the card, young Indigenous Olympian Alex Winwood, will be fighting for the #1 position for the WBC in the strawweight division against the very talented Joey Canoy from the Philippines. This will be an epic battle, could put him on track to match the legendary Jeff Fennick's record of winning a world title in 7 fights. How do you rate Alex's chances to defeat Canoy and possibly fight for the WBC world title in his next fight?
Alex Winwood, what a great story as well. Fighting a very tough Canoy from the Philippines, precisely the WBC strawweight champion is from the Philippines. He just conquered the title in Japan. So this would be the test of fire. Alex is trying to emulate one of the greatest fighters in history, precisely from down on there, Jeff Fennick. My dear Jeff Fennick, 4-division world champion. And Alex is trying to win the world title in the 7th fight. The WBC has been supportive. We will be in his corner. And definitely, if he beats Canoy, this is a great opportunity to challenge for the world title in the immediate future.
Thanks, Mauricio. We look forward to welcoming you to the Horden Pavilion on June 12. Please, a big round of applause for the WBC President. Alex, off the back of that, I want to come to you. We've just heard about what's potentially at stake and the history that's up for grabs for you. So going up against Joey, do you see that history and what's on the cards beyond this fight if you win? Do you see that as motivation or distraction?
Firstly, I'd just like to thank Stan Sports, Green Promotions and G'd Up for putting this event on. Thank you so much for having me. As for the kind words that President Mauricio said, yeah, it's a big challenge, and I've came into the professional ranks not wanting to take the easy road. I've chosen to take the hard road and fight. Every fight is a step up for me so far, and essentially, yeah, I'm on track to being Australia's fastest male world champion in 6 fights if 2 more wins gets the job done. So I understand the road that's in front of me, and it's one that I've chosen to take, and something that I'm pretty G'd up and very excited to go after. So my team believes in me, I believe in myself, and all we want is hard fights. I don't want to take any soft opponents and have a 20-fight win before I start to challenge the top. Each and every one of my fights has been a major step up along the road. So fighting for Eliminator in my 5th fight is just unreal, and puts a fire in the belly for me to keep going and do something that's out of the ordinary and become extraordinary.
As Greenie said before, Joey's no mug. He's got a win over the current champion in the strawweight division. So what do you make of the challenge?
Yeah, Joey's a very tough opponent. He beat the newly crowned WBC champion in 2017 over 10 rounds. So I understand that he's no slouch, and I'm the underdog in this fight. He's had 27 fights. I've had 4. It's everything's in his favour, and the only thing that's in my corner is my belief from myself and my team, and the backing of the Australian public. So that's what I'm riding my drive off, and he's coming in with experience, and he's on a 3-win fight streak with KOs. So he should be pretty much red hot, raring to go. So, but I believe in myself. I know my ability. I know what I do in the gym day in, day out. He's a 12-year professional fight veteran, but I've only been a professional for a year and a half. Like, it's a lot to chew, and it's a lot to bite off and swallow. But I think what I've demonstrated in the gym against the Maloneys and everyone else that's coming in, and yeah, I know what we have and what I'm capable of. So, yeah, I'm backing myself.
And all of that just makes it all the sweeter, mate. Just makes it all the sweeter if and when you beat him, Alex. Wish you all the best. Over to you, Johnny Lewis. You've trained some of Australia's greatest ever, Jeff Fennick, Kostya Tszyu. So what is it about Ella Boot that has caught your eye?
Oh, she's a good sword. Have a look at her. Catch everyone's eye. I can honestly say that we go back many years, and I was asked once, the girls started fighting, and it was very new. Certainly I was against that, and I'd done an interview with someone from, I think it was Channel 10, and when I said that, they said, well, what do you tell the girls to do if they want to fight? And I said, get married. So with all that being said and done, this is one of the best things that's happened for boxing for a long, long time. A little bit of competition won't be taken for granted. The experience of Denny Green and Angelo Hyder to get this up and running is it's a great bonus for rugby league, for boxing, I should say. And with young, my young girl here, she'll benefit from this than any other way we could go to get to the top. We've got a great little opponent over there. We've done countless rounds with her, and it's going to be hard for me, but it won't be hard for Ella, and it won't be hard for our opponent. They know what they want in life, and they can get it by success on fight night. It's a really great fight. I know the guys will be doing their stuff, but I think at the end of the night they'll be very impressed with the two girls.
Thank you, Johnny. Ella, currently 6-0 on the path to becoming a world champ. What do you think it is about your boxing style that sets you apart from others?
I think my boxing style is the ability to adapt, and my boxing IQ. You know, I feel like I'm quite smart in the ring, and I just really want to display my skills on fight night and continually get better every time. So, you know, I've got that amateur boxing skills, but I've also got that professional aggression and, you know, smartness about me. So,
as Johnny just mentioned, you're fighting a sparring partner in Taiwana. Does that make the challenge more difficult, given that you know her game, but she knows your game as well?
I don't know if it will make it any harder or easier, you know. I think that's the game of boxing. It's happened multiple times in the past, and I think myself and Tawana are going to bring a really, really good fight. You know, she always brings the heat in sparring, so I think it's going to be a wonderful fight for Australian boxing and also for the whole world to see as well.
Absolutely. Ella, we wish you all the best on fight night. We're going to throw out to the floor for some questions now. If you want to ask a question, we've got media and special guests in the room. If you want to ask a question of any of our guests up on stage, just ask you to raise your hand and stand up and throw it up this way.
Why now? You've had a good UFC career, you've continued with that. Why did you decide to make this switch?
If not now, then when? So it felt like a good time. I'm in my prime. And also, the big point of it was because I wanted to be back with my family, back here training. I've been away from my daughter for 12 months in the last 2.5 years. This allows me to be at home with them. And also, I think it's the legacy as well. You see a lot of the Australian champions in the UFC and the mixed martial arts in general, and after 3 months, people have forgotten about them. But you see in Australian boxing, there's champs that have remembered for their lifetime. You've got Danny Green, Jeff Fennick, and people remember them. So it's also about legacy.
Chris, you talked about fighting for Gal. What did you learn outside the ring in terms of promoting the fight, the outside noise, all the other stuff that comes with a pay-per-view?
Yeah, man, it was definitely a few lessons I learned outside of the ring with Gal. I think that's probably where Tyson's probably got the experience over me, you know, being on these big UFC platforms and stuff like that. You know, obviously, we're all going to give it everything we've got in the ring, but this is the new added on things that happen on the big stage. So, again, I'm just embracing it all and trying to take it all in. You know, we only live once. It's a short time on this place. So, you know, having opportunities like this is just it's grouse for me. Even got my mate Rob up here, we've been training together since we were 15 years old. He was bloody shitting himself up here on stage. So, if I can bring my friends and family on this journey with me as well, it's just a good buzz, you know what I mean? So I'm super grateful again, and it's going to be an awesome show come June. In terms of what? I'm not too sure, man. Obviously, people. We looked at it when Francis Ngannou came over to boxing. You know what I mean? It's a different type of game. I don't know. There's too much you can take from it. Obviously, I know Ty's got a solid right hand. He's fast and explosive. But I think for this one, I like to really study my opponents. But I think for this one, it's more about what I'm going to bring, focusing on my strengths, and I think that'll make the difference.
Also, thank you everyone for coming out. We've got a couple names in the building, and thank you very much. It means a lot. Thank you, Stan Sport. Thank you, Danny Green, for putting this on. See a couple names out there. I think Ned Brockman and Bam Bam, two of us, have just rocked up. Billy Dibb. So, did you guys run here together?
Tawana, one for you. Taking on a sparring partner in Ella. What do you make of this challenge? Have you got the inside running? You know what's coming your way in the ring?
Yeah, me and Ella have done hundreds of rounds together. It's definitely a step-up fight, but everything about this fight excites me, so keen.
We're all very excited. What about you, Gal? You're here front row. You got a question for either the man that beat you or the man that's challenging the man that beat you? Or just some sage words of advice, maybe?
No questions. May the best man win. They're both good fellas. Done a lot of rounds with Tyson, obviously for Chris, and I know Tyson without doubt can hurt Chris. Chris is a slick boxer. It's going to be a really good fight. I'm looking forward to it, and may the best man win. I'm back in Tyson. Got to be honest.
Got to get him back.
Thank you, Gal. G-Train, appreciate you being here. Paul Gallen. We're going to get our two main bout fighters together now for a face-off. Move this lectern out of the way, bring them face to face for the first time. Just get the hold here for photo opportunity. Face off again. Face off again just so we get the photos done. Only 64 days away, ladies and gentlemen. June 12 is the date where Uncaged will go down. To order and watch Uncaged pay-per-view, customers will need an active Stan subscription. Stan subscribers can order the pay-per-view at stan.com.au/pay-per-view from tomorrow. So you don't have to wait long to get yourself the pay-per-view for this one. Tyson Pedro, Chris Terzievsky, of course, Green Machine Promotions. Thank you, gentlemen. Green Machine Promotions and this amazing ensemble on stage here today. Love to see you at Fight Night on June 12 across the road at the Hordern Pavilion for this, which is guaranteed to be one hell of a fight night. For more information to get your tickets, visit www.greenmachinepromotions.com. And of course, stay tuned for more exciting fight news in the collaboration between Green Machine Promotions and Stan as well. More news on that coming in the future. That concludes our official media conference here today. Everyone that is on stage is available for media interviews after this. One-on-one requests, please see Hamish Burt from Stan over to the side if you're media attending today and want to speak to one of our fighters or trainers up here. And of course, we look forward to seeing you on June 12 at the Hordern Pavilion.